I'm Logan, and this is who I was. I've always been told that Jesus loves me, um, and that in return I should do the same. I remember being brought up in all like the classic Bible stories like Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego walking through the fire. Memorizing my standard children's Bible verses: John 3:16, Matt 7:12. When I started to get into my early preteens, I had developed a passion for writing and playing music, and also rock and roll and everything that went into rock and roll. I found identity in sex and drugs and rock and roll and everything. It's just it was so cool to me. I began to rebuild my character and my personality. And during this time, I began to surround myself with an older crowd, people who were what I wanted to be at the time. They were the ones who ended up introducing me to things like marijuana, sex, alcohol. It started me down this really bad path, and at the time I didn't realize it. I was just having fun. I was just a stupid kid. I began to live this life where at church I was this awesome child of God with this great family, and I had I was an honest, good, caring, loving kid that everybody liked and everybody loved. And then outside of church, when I'd get home, it was just a switch I would turn off. Tell everybody what they want to hear. That's exactly what I did. And then live the life the way you want to. I began to skip class to go have sex. I began to not even show up at school to get high somewhere. At this point, I'd been leading worship on stage every Sunday, just like I am here. Do what I'm told, do what I'm supposed to, serve God, keep my parents off my back, keep this image going with them and my family and the church family, so that I wouldn't get lectured about my life choices. Just totally, like, on this side was all the good, and on this side was all the bad, and I was keeping up at the same time, like both lifestyles. I was developing some serious depression, and I kind of just told myself to shake it off. That's what you deal with. You do this to yourself. So by the time I graduated high school, it got to the point where I'd be driving to school, and I would have a pint of Jack in my coat pocket, and I would pull up to Wayne State, and I would park the car, and I would pound the alcohol. I'd finish the pint, and then I'd pull out some drugs, usually cocaine, and I'd lay it out my dashboard, and I'd snort a couple lines, and I'd go into class. It went from me thinking poorly about myself to me absolutely hating myself. And I would do this thing where I would get in my car, and I would drive to the water. I would turn on my car, and I'd rev my engine, and I'd try and force myself to drive into the water. I'd scream at myself to do it. Just do it. Drive into the water. End your own life. One really defining day, I drove over the curb, onto the grass, and I was really coming close to the water, just screaming at the top of my lungs. I felt this intense pressure, and it was the most intense that I've ever felt. I was being squeezed. It was like somebody was grabbing my heart and just squeezing it. All this filth and crap was being spread thin, and it was like a thin film, and all the good inside me was right underneath it. But I definitely decided that something had to be done. I couldn't keep doing this to myself. The next day I told my parents about how I'd been feeling, and they were nothing but supportive. But it was really hard. It was really hard to be honest and tell everybody that I've been leading this double life, that I've been lying to everybody, that I've wanted to die, because I think about where it would leave them, where it would leave my family, where it would leave my brother, all the people who care about me and love me. And I'm at a point now where I'm not having sex, I'm not drinking, I'm not smoking, I'm not doing cocaine. I'm living my life through Christ the best I possibly can, and I've been doing so for quite some time now. I never in a million years would have thought I'd be here. I never in a million years thought I'd be serving Him the way I do. I never thought I'd be so happy. I never thought I'd love myself. But I do. And I love my life. and I love God, and I'm so thankful for Him and everything He's done for me in the situation that He's thrust me into.